It has been 75 years since the Universal Declaration of Human Rights was signed and 30 years since the Paris Agreement. It is also the 30th year of the National Human Rights Commission of India being in existence. We are speaking to Justice Arun Kumar Mishra, the chairman of the NHRC. Thank you very much, sir, for speaking to India today. Especially with the conference that is coming up next week, sir. India is set to host the Asia-Pacific National Human Rights Institutions Conference. What are the main issues that you see that the national human rights institutions of, particularly in Asian countries, in Asian Pacific countries, are facing? And what can be the role of the NHRIs and the NHRC in India to tackle those issues?
We are going to discuss various issues in this very, very important conference from the point of view of environment and achievement of sustainable development goals. Beside that, what best practices we have adopted in last 30 years of establishment of human rights commissions, that is going to be discussed. 33 decades is a very long period. So what are the achievements and what are the new challenges now towards which we have to focus? What is the joint strategy which is required? What are whether we have been able to achieve the freedom for all, equal justice for all, and gender equality and rights of equality for all. These are the basic issues. And how NHRIs can help our countries in achieving the goals which they have fixed for climatic justice, environmental justice. Because as we understand, if we are not able to do the justice towards environment, we are heading towards disaster. Already we are facing lot of problems. Droughts, overrains, sea level is rising, temperature is rising, displacements are taking place, somewhere there is drought, somewhere overrains. So these are the problems due to which displacement is also taking place. Globalization is there now, going to stay. Vasudev Kutumbakam was our old perception of Rig Veda. That is now precisely has come into existence now. World, different countries are like villages, you see. World has come closer. And internet is keeping them together, close. Second, you can talk, you can reach. Plus, there are several issues which have arisen out of this new technology, which were not contemplated before. See, there are issues of misuse of the cyberspace. That is one. With that is connected the exploitation of child for the purpose of sexual exploitation of child, live streaming of that. When child is being sexually abused, you are streaming it live. And then when you see in cyberspace, 96% of it is a dark web. So it is a very, very serious issue. Intermediaries who are uploading such contents are permitting their live streaming of this on their platforms, and they should be responsible for taking it down or stopping this. It's not that the technology is not sound. Frauds are taking place. Banking frauds are taking place on cyberspace, and then data hacking is taking place. Ransom is being demanded in cryptocurrency. Human trafficking is taking place or on the internet, you see. And there are several other offenses. Then climatic justice is required. Then business houses have come up in a big way now. There are platforms which are merely distributors. They have no investment in your country, but they are earning most of the revenue by simply distributing products. What will happen to the retailers, you see? They are not answerable to any worker also. They hire and they fire the worker. They have no investment. They can change their position any day. And from where they operate, you are not aware. But they are earning them a lot of money, capitalization, there's a lot of money, income they have earned. And then there's disproportionate, you see, income to them, you see. My point is that we should have a law that I connect this issue even for consumer. Consumer has a right not to be exploited, not only the employees. In case consumer is paying such a price which is very unreasonable, very high, even for a life-saving drug, which a poor person cannot afford, or even if a consumer good is there, every person is consumer in his own way. He should have right to know the production cost. What is the cost of production?
So, sir, with this conference that is coming up next week, are we likely to see, is it a likely outcome that some sort of recommendations for making these, because you've mentioned climate change, you've mentioned child sexual abuse, you've mentioned dark web, the consumer behavior, consumer protection, employee protection, all of these are extremely huge policy issues that all governments have to deal with. And so is it likely that the conference of the Asia Pacific NHRIs could come out with some sort of a guideline or a path? Is that on the anvil, or is this a
definitely
broad,
it is a function of the NHRIs to issue guidelines, advisories in this field when it comes to the human rights violations. So they have the power to request their government kindly act in this matter, because human rights violation is taking place in this method. It should be stopped. They should be answerable. So advisories and guidelines can be issued by all NRIs, and these are the offences which are taking place from across the border. In case there is no consensus between HRIs, and even governments have state sovereign power is also to be involved in it, you see. They should also act on this. But NHRI's instrumentalities to ensure that human rights violation doesn't take place in their respective countries. So when there's a across the border transaction is there and across the border crime is taking place, you see, terrorism, can it be stopped by one country? Drug peddling, can it be stopped by one country only? It's international. You see, war, what is the effect of the war on the world's economy? So these are the issues on which you see human rights violation takes place. United Nations Assembly itself has constituted this body. You see, all the countries have decided, heads of all the countries have decided that this body should advise them. And when Paris Principles has also been formulated by United Nations Assembly, it is the part of that, you see, strategy, how this to take. It's not that we don't have that power to advise the government, you see. We have the power. It is given by the government only. Respective states have given this power to advise to them, you see. In that method and fashion, we prepare a joint strategy. There is a global alliance also of national institutions that also lays down the policy, and then goals. What are the goals? These are all things on which nobody opposes these things. You see, this is a function of every government, you see, to protect the human rights basically. This is being done by the institutions created by them only, under the statute created by the parliament only. So there is no, you see, loggerheads like this. This is a job of everybody, every human, to protect the human rights.
So you just mentioned the GAHNRI and the UN mandated. So the Indian accreditation has been deferred by one more year, just a few months ago. What are the issues, particularly since in the field of international relations, in the field of international politics, India is trying to take a bigger role? We are hosting this conference next week. You're hosting this conference next week. What exactly is happening, and why is it that there is so much criticism of the Indian policy or the Indian human rights institutions?
Actually, firstly, I will answer this question why the accreditation has been deferred. So main reason appears to be in that they want a statutory change, which condition they had imposed in 2017 also, that appointments of chairperson and other posts should be made by the application, by way of application duly advertising these posts. When you are appointing Chief Justice of India, Supreme Court judge, or Chief Justice of a High Court, or a judge of the High Court, are they going to submit an application? I put a question to myself. I'll never. No judge will do it, and no person who is having very high experience is going to do it. So when there is a shortlisting and there are persons also indicate their interest in that, and that all those things are considered by the committee, and particularly when previously they did not insist for that, probably they were satisfied about our procedure and about the composition which India is having is very strong composition of NHRC.
If I may interrupt that for one moment, sir, the Ganeri report, at least what was brought out in public domain, had raised questions about not just the composition but also representation in the NHRC. And since we're talking about gender equality, justice, minority rights, etc., how do you see these questions that have been raised about our institution?
If we talk of diversity, we had the woman member. She has retired now. One post is reserved exclusively for women. So there is no question that woman post can be filled up by anyone else. So woman is going to be appointed on that post. It is a matter of time only. I hope that member is going to be appointed soon. I hope so. Now, with respect to diversity, there is no bar with respect to appointment of women or any other class on the posts which are available, you see. Even the post of Supreme Court judge can be filled by a woman member. Chief Justice can be woman. Judge can be, post can be woman. Two posts which are for civil society can be woman, you see. So there is no question that there is diversity is not ensured by in our commission. Rather, there is a reservation for women here. And if you talk of minorities, we have minority member as such with us, and then Commission of Minorities our member, statutory deemed member. SC Scheduled Caste Commission is our deemed member. Women Commission is our deemed member. Women is there. Scheduled Tribe Commission is our deemed member. Then Disabled Commissioner is our deemed member. So this is the way we are having all these 6 commissions, statutory bodies as our members. So there's so much diversity and composition is different. You see, nobody can say, and there one objection is that Secretary General is government officer. But you see, they do not deal with the investigation in our law side. They work, legal branch which deals with the complaint is totally independent. They see only the administration. Being the top of affairs, being secretary of the government is a very high post, and these civil services are not affected by who is running the government, which political system is running the government. They are highly experienced, mature bureaucrats, those who are running the government. They are appendages of the system, you see, and their integrity is impeccable. And when they have reached the post of secretary, you can just visualize what is the post of secretary. This is a very high post. Only person who is having good credentials reaches there. So there cannot be any objection. They see only the administrative part of.
Because we've seen this happening not just for India, but for a number of human rights institutions across the world. Questions about their independence, questions about their who are they favoring something? Are they biased? Are they politically inclined? Those are issues that have cropped up in the last several years as we are seeing politicization of the human rights narrative, so to speak, politically on a world stage, really, not just in India, but on a world stage. How do you, as the head of India's human rights institutions see this
Now,
entire
basically,
debate?
what has happened that politics has mixed up with everything. There's a, if I am permitted to say, there's a politics, there's a politics in everything. You see, kind of litigation which are brought to the courts are also mixed with the politics. The kind of problems which are to be dealt with also are having political tinge by any institution. If they are being dealt with by NHRC or by the court or by anyone else, they are having political color. So when there is a political color to every problem, several problems which are being dealt with, like post-poll violence somewhere. So it is political intolerance. So going to be given political shape, political color. You are going to be criticized whether you pass verdict this side or that side. But verdict is that human lives we are losing the human lives. Those who are responsible for this violence should be booked, should be punished. Persons who have been deprived of their residences, shelter places, should be rehabilitated, should be compensated. The state should to prevent the violence. Similarly, in whose tragedy case, I am happy to share with you that after our team visited Bihar, and in every case of whose tragedy, we are directing compensation not only in Bihar. We directed compensation in Bihar in large number of cases. And I am happy to share that after our recommendation of our team that tragedies have taken place in Bihar, government has itself issued an order of payment of compensation of 4 lakh to each victim of huge tragedy after 2016. Okay. That was never thought of by us. That is the impact of our, interference in these issues. And silicosis, several governments have those persons who are suffering worse in the eastern Korea suffers with the silicosis. Several state governments have framed the policy for payment of compensation for the victims of silicosis. Either they become handicapped or they die due to that reason, due to silicosis. They are paying pension, they are paying compensation, they are offering compensation appointments. This is a good state of affairs. Beside that, with respect to ophthalmic ocular trauma, we have issued an advisory on the basis of advice given by the top ophthalmologist of India. Then in that advisory, we have mentioned that how to prevent it. Pointed toys should not be sold to particular age group. The lime in beetle, that and people consume with that tobacco also. That causes permanent blinding. If it is just we touch the eye with that lime, So, and there are several other chemicals. And then Chinese crackers which are there. Crackers are carrying potential. These Chinese crackers, they hit the eyeball and then blinding can take place. Low vision can take place due to that. So we have issued that advisory also. For the benefit of truck drivers also, we have issued advisory that they should be provided insurance cover. And then also halting places, health checkup facilities, and then there should not be overwork, there should not be overloading.
So if I may, I apologize for interrupting you on, you're talking about the various advisories, the various actions that the NHRC has taken. But there is also a lot of places where questions are asked about delays per se, particularly, as I said, in politically relevant or politically poignant matters. So as the NHRC chairperson, as a former Supreme Court judge, do you see that how do you respond to the criticism when it comes to the politicization or slow work by the human rights institutions? Because we've seen this coming from various quarters, we've seen this coming from politicians, seen this coming from NGOs. Recently, the US president made a comment that he's raised the question of human rights and press freedoms in India in his meeting with the Prime Minister. Is it something, are we asking for too much, or are we just not seeing the job that the NHRC is actually doing?
Actually, if you ask me very frankly, there is a lot of criticism of Human Rights Commission of India with respect to Manipur. Fine. If I tell you what we have done, you will find that criticism is baseless. Firstly, in large number of cases, we have directed compensation to be paid and report be submitted to us. Rehabilitation to be made of the persons who have uprooted from their dwelling places. Number 3, we have directed compassionate appointments also to be offered. And we have directed state government to ensure that peace is maintained at all costs. What more is expected of a human rights institution? I don't feel that anything more can be done by a human rights institution in this regard. So, when ethnic violence is taking place in such a manner, if people still criticize us, we do not bother about it. We have not to care for it. Criticism will always take place when people want particular political agenda on a particular political complaint. We are not creature of politics. We are the creature of our old ethos, cultural ethos, which were human rights, Rigved. And then they have been inserted by our constitutional makers in the constitution, now by the parliament in our act. So these are the ethos on which human rights are based. We are protecting that, and in the process, we do not care for any criticism. Let there be criticism. We are happy the way we are working, and we are happy the way we are reaching to the people in far-flung areas, digital divide. Even we have directed recently hybrid form of education to be imparted at the places where teachers are not available. Because people have right for standard education, you see. Unless you provide them hybrid education, how the level of education will rise, how they will learn the better things, you see. In far-flung area, do you expect these kind of schools which are available in the towns, cities and metropolitans? No. So, reach has to be digital. This advantage of internet should be taken to on the positive side. And we are ensuring we are doing our job. Criticism always takes place of every work. You see, whether you do this, but you are not. If you see anything with the colored glasses, you see, you are bound to criticize everything, you see. We do not see we do not care for all these things. We are working in the right direction. We are satisfied that from our conscience and our soul that we are doing the good job, and we will be continuing to do it. Let there be criticism.
That is a very good point to make, sir, because as an institution, you are doing the job that you are doing. But coming back to the conference and the role of these institutions, one major issue that has been flagged as an agenda in this conference is climate change justice, etc. Now, we're seeing a larger debate across the world with regard to climate change, responsibility, funding, particularly the global north, global south divide. Now, as this is going to be a conference of Asia-Pacific countries being held in India, where do you see this debate going, particularly since there is such a debate on who is responsible, who has to fund it, and who gets the benefit of what is being created as funds for climate change mitigation?
You see, firstly, fund has been created. The countries which are having the money, they have taken this obligation that they will be paying to the countries which are still not developed. There has to be equitable distribution of that. Number 2, there has to be transfer of technology and knowledge, awareness with respect to how to adopt these, what is the technological advancement in that. We have to share it with every country should share with the other, and that too as a reasonable cost. Only then,
that is the debate.
Only then you see it will succeed. If only one country is trying, suppose India has started working on that sustainable development, biofuel, this and that, electric vehicles are being now replaced, ordinary vehicles are being replaced by electric vehicles, biofuel we are switching over slowly and slowly, then you see we are having so much commitment towards which we have if other countries do not function, environment is not going to improve by only India's effort, you see. This is the entire humanity has to act. All the countries will have to act. And those countries which are having the money and they have promised that they will pay this much amount for the improvement of the environment, they must, and that money should be equitably distributed in the developing countries. That is a must. Only then this protection will be there, you see. And then there are various issues with respect to climatic change. Survival of not only climatic change is there, you see, if in case we fail to maintain cosmic balance, sun is there, that gives the energy. Moon is there. Our culture is such, moon is our mama. If you maternal uncle in our ethos, you see, this is a relationship. Trees we respect, animals we respect, rivers we respect. Why for? Because they are the lifeline. Lifeline for Ganga is lifeline for country. How many, several lakhs of persons' livelihood is dependent upon Ganga river and other rivers, you see. That's why river should be kept clean. There was an obligation that Ashoka, the great emperor, if you remember, he adopted Buddhism after winning that Kalinga war. He stopped the deforestation at that time. Nobody could have cut the forest. So Indian culture is very pretty old. So our ethos are there. Now we are guiding the world for that reason only, that they are looking at us, that our cultural ethos are very sound. And education, India was used to be center of world education. You see, Nalanda, 10,000 students were there at one time in such universities. Takshila.
So, just to sum up, as a last question, sir, you've been the head of the NHRC for some time now. What are the goals that you think the commission should be focusing on going forward? What are your hopes for the future of these institutions?
Future is going to be, they are going to say, number one, we are ensuring that human dignity is saved at all the costs, environment is saved, health sector is looked after properly, mental health is cared for, students' suicide which are taking place should stop, and then there should be government homes, prisons conditions should improve, government homes living conditions should improve. Then the persons who are really to whom the benefit of the social welfare schemes and distributive justice has not reached so far, it should reach to them, and we are focusing upon that. And I am confident that we are we are crossing in the right direction. And no, I will not be there here, but their day is going to come then when everybody, last person who is there in the queue will be getting the due and justice. I am confident. मेरे को लगता है.
Thank you very much for speaking to us, Justice Mishra, and all the best from all of us for the conference. And we hope that there are positive outcomes. Thank you.